What's up, party people? I'm back with another tie-dye design. Today we are going to be doing a heart design on a t-shirt. I have a medium size 100% cotton white t-shirt. When I got this brand new, it's important that you wash it, so I've thrown it through a wash cycle to strip out any of the chemicals or anything that might be on the shirt from the factory, and then I dried it. And then I soaked this in soda ash. We are going to be using Procyon dyes, and those are reactive dyes. They react with the fibers of this, but the soda ash will help them react. So this is soaked for 30 minutes, and then I've wrung it out and I put it through a spin cycle on my washing machine just to leave it slightly damp. Because we're doing a heart design today, it's going to be right in the center of the shirt. And we can do that fairly easily by folding the shirt in half. If I were to simply fold the shirt in half this way and then do a heart design in the middle of the shirt, we'd actually end up with a heart design on the front of the shirt and the back of the shirt. So we don't want necessarily a heart design on the back of the shirt, just on the front of the shirt. So how do we do that? Well, it's relatively simple. We are going to find our center line, and then we're going to fold it one sleeve into the other sleeve. This leaves our front side of the shirt separate from the back side of the shirt, so we can do our heart design simply on the front, and then the back will just be the colors. So it takes a little bit of effort to get that first bit done. I start by laying out the shirt. We find our center line by folding the shirt in half and making sure everything is lined up. And then we can use a washable marker. The washable marker, of course, will wash out once we're all done. And I use this just to mark the inside and the outside of our center line. And we do the same at the top. So I'll line up everything up here. And we mark our center line. And similarly on the collar here, we can mark our center line. Now that we have those marks, we pick up the shirt by the center line and we put one sleeve inside out into the other sleeve. Try to make everything flat with no wrinkles inside. Once we've done the sleeve and sleeve fold, we now end up with two center lines. So this will be the center line of the front of the shirt. I know it's the front of the shirt because the collar is lower on the front. And the other flap here is the center line of the back of the shirt. So now we can keep these two sides separate. At this point, I'm going to draw my heart shape. You can do this a few ways. If you want to find where the center vertically is, you can fold your shirt up this way and make two more marks. This gives you an idea of where the vertical center of the shirt is. I'd like my heart to be mostly on the chest area, so up a little bit higher than the center. And we're going to draw half of our heart shape here. Now we have half of a heart on one side. We can open up the shirt and we're going to fold pleats along this line, keeping them all tightly together. When we do that, we isolate our heart from the rest of the design. At this point, I'm going to start to gather up little folds right along the line, and I'm going to follow it like a train from one end all the way to the other. So now we have our heart design that has become a straight line, all folded nicely, isolating the heart shape just on this side. I'm going to toss an elastic around here to hold everything in place. We may still do something different on the back side of the shirt. Again, this is the center line of the back side of the shirt. But for now, I want to carry some of these pleats down to the rest of the shirt so it looks like they're radiating out of the heart. Grab another elastic and I'll just throw it around there. At this point, before we get too far, what I'd like to do is tighten this up with some sinew. I have sinew here. It's a really strong cord that's covered in wax, so it holds really tightly. You can get a nice crisp design. And we start by tying a simple slip knot in one end, looping that around our garment. And I'm going to tighten it down right on this purple line that we have now from the original heart that we drew. To tighten it as far as I can get, I have a little tool here. It just helps pull everything really, really tight on that line. And then I will know I can make this all one color and the rest of my design another color. Turning things around, I'm going to use the sinew to wind this up a little bit tighter. It's going to carry these pleats and it's going to hold them really tight. I'll tie off this design here and just simply loop my finger underneath and pull the cord under itself, and that generally holds it tight enough. So that's our front side right there. Got our heart and then the rest of the fan out from there. Now we have our backside. Our backside starts up here at the collar. For this one, I'm going to do a scrunch design on the back. And this is the easiest design that you can really do, is simply start to bring everything together and make tight little scrunches with your fingers to bunch everything up. It gives it a really interesting design. And this will be symmetrical on the back because of our center line. It still has this fold here. So everything that we scrunch together will be mirrored right down the spine of the shirt. I will include the sleeve in this as well. You want as many tight folds as you can on these scrunches. And any big section that has a lot of material showing on top is going to just accept the solid color of dye. So it's nice if you break it up, add some folds and pleats and scrunches right in there to break up any big piece of fabric that you see here, and then your design becomes a little bit more interesting. You can use a spoon or something to kind of break up some of the pleats if you need to as well. I'm also tossing a few elastics around this as I go, just to hold everything tight once I have it scrunched. For the rest of this, I'm actually going to use kite cord. This is also a really strong cord made out of nylon, I believe. The difference between kite cord and sinew, this is kite cord, this is sinew. Kite cord doesn't have that wax coating, and you can't get it quite as tight as you can with the sinew. So it's nice for holding your design really tight together, but it will allow some bleeding of colors underneath it. So in this scrunch design, I want some of the colors to kind of flow and join and become one together. So I'm going to use this and start tying it around to make this really tight in there as well. And then I'm just tying this off at the end. Okay, there we have it. This is our heart design. Again, we have a little bit of purple showing here. This is where we started our heart. This is going to be one color, and then we'll have a radiating pattern coming out of there. And then our back is going to be a scrunch pattern. So stay tuned for the dyeing. Time to dye. Time to dye, D-Y-E, of course. I always like to get my bearings when I bring a design back up. Obviously we have our heart shape, which is up here. And then we have a design back down here. And then this is our scrunch fold, whatever you want to call this. So I have 5 colors that I'm going to dye today with. The first color is a hot pink. That's what we're going to use for the heart. Then coming out of there, our rays or our bands are going to be marine violet, lilac, turquoise, and ice blue. And we'll try to blend these as we go, and then a mixture of them in this final section down here. So let's get started with our hot pink. These are Procyon dyes, as I've mentioned. These are going to be a lot better than your Walmart brand tie-dye kits. These actually react with the fibers of the cotton and leave this color bright and lasting a really, really long time. So pick up these dyes. They have to be used with soda ash. And really saturate the sections that you want to dye. You need to do both sides. You don't want it to be dripping, but you do want it to absorb a lot of this dye into there. The sinew is going to help separate this color from the rest, so you can get fairly close to the sinew. You might get some seeping under, and that's okay. I'm starting to drip on that edge, so I know that it's saturated. I always like to keep a piece of paper towel handy nearby so that as I set this down, I'm not getting too much dye in areas that I don't want it. Okay, from the pink, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to marine violet. And each one of these nodes, I'm going to try to do a slightly different color. We'll blend them out from there, and hopefully it will pull out a cool design from the heart in the center. So starting with marine violet. Maybe I can count down here. So we're going to go violet, lilac, ice blue, turquoise. This one will be another marine violet here. As I mentioned, you want to get both sides. So I'm going to get under here and over on this side, trying to keep a lot of the dye out of this heart section. Okay, now we can move on to lilac. Ice blue. Ice blue is like a really light purple and blue color. Pastel color. And then turquoise. On the rest of the design, we get to have a little bit of fun. I'm going to stick to just using the purples and the blues. I'm going to leave the hot pink out, and we'll just save it for that one section in the whole shirt. So in this section, we can get creative. You can do swirls, you can do pie pieces, or stripes. Today what I think I'm going to do are stripes back and forth. So we just did lilac there, so I'm going to go to an ice blue and we'll do our first stripe using the blue. Ice blue. Then we're into turquoise. Back to marine violet. Lilac. And finishing with some ice blue at the very edge here. And the final step is that we're going to flip this over and just do the same colors on the opposite side. And that is our dyeing step. At this point, I put this into a Ziploc bag or a tight plastic bag, and I let it sit for 24 hours. This will help the dyes cure and bond to the fabric. And then after that, I'm gonna rinse. When I rinse, I always start with cold water, and I'm gonna actually start with the pink section here. It will release a lot of the soda ash in the fabric, which will stop any of these other dyes from staining this section when I get to the rest of the rinsing. So we rinse cold all the way through till it runs clear, and then we start raising the temperature of the water slowly until it's warm, and then you can wash it out, dry it out, and get ready for the unveiling. I'll see you soon.